Well, I think you know my prediction. It's that we will see omega candles, and my prediction is also we'll see 1 million in 2025. If not, then 2026.
Hey everyone! Before we dive back into Samson Mow's bold Bitcoin prediction, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more crypto insights. As of March 28th, 2025, Bitcoin is trading between $84,000 and $89,000. Samson Mow, CEO of Jan3, predicts that Bitcoin will violently surge to $1 million within months. Institutional adoption is accelerating. GameStop's board recently approved adding Bitcoin as a Treasury reserve asset, following similar moves by other corporations. A survey indicates that 83% of financial institutions plan to increase their crypto allocations this year. With Bitcoin's fixed supply cap of 21 million coins, increasing demand from institutions and corporations could lead to a supply squeeze, potentially driving prices higher. However, not all forecasts are as optimistic. Betting markets suggest a 61% chance of Bitcoin reaching $110,000 in 2025, with only a 14% probability of hitting $200,000. Samson Mow alludes to the fact that mining companies are bullish, as most of them are not selling anymore. What could this mean? Will Bitcoin experience the parabolic rise that Mow predicts? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the factors influencing Bitcoin's potential trajectory. So, before we dive in, please hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, share the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more Bitcoin and crypto updates. Your support means the world to us. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Well, the mining aspect is pretty bullish right now. I mean, you're seeing this trend of mining companies, especially public ones, that just never need to sell anymore. They can borrow. And that changes the dynamic greatly. I mean, yes, there is concern about centralization of hash rate in the country, but you know, the benefit of that is that you have a lot of US public company miners that just don't need to sell anymore. And that changes that entire calculus of mining profitability, right? Does it really matter how profitable you are? To a certain extent, but it doesn't matter as much as it did, let's say, I don't know, 10 years ago, when miners are trying to just eke by. But now they have all these different instruments at their disposal, and it kind of reduces the supply of Bitcoin. And you compound that with nation states mining too. And for a lot of them, they're behind the meter. They don't really care about the cost of electricity, or they're just using excess electricity. So the entire game is just completely different now. And that's why I'm bullish on mining. The SBR was huge, and then there's like a contingent. I don't know if they're mid-curvers or they're just really, really perfectionists on Bitcoin adoption, but it was like, we got the SBR, but yeah, they're not buying. It's just they're keeping what they've got, and they might buy later, but I don't really care because they didn't do it now.
Spreadcoin, SPR, aims to decentralize mining, reducing the dominance of large pools and giving power back to individual miners. While this sounds revolutionary, SPR remains largely unnoticed due to low adoption, limited exchange listings, and minimal mainstream attention. Its proof-of-work mechanism ensures security, offering miners a fairer way to earn rewards. However, low liquidity makes trading highly volatile, with prices easily influenced by large transactions. Is SPR a forgotten relic or an untapped opportunity? If decentralization is the future, SPR could have potential, but with uncertain development, it remains a high-risk, high-reward gamble. Let's get more insights from Samson Mow.
It's just like there's this need for instant gratification of a fully delivered package of everything you want, all tied up with a bow. And that's not really how the world works. You have to go step by step. There is a sequence in order to get things through. And I don't think people really understand that. It's also the same with nation state adoption. People are like, oh, how many countries did you get? I'm like, it's not like I go to Walmart and I buy a toaster. There's a lot of variables and a lot of things changing that don't make it so simple. But it's the same for SBR. Like, they're just sleeping on the fact that it's a seismic change and it's a seismic shift. Now, there is one bearish part of that, which Hodl was saying, they can't ban it, but they can ban you from having it, right? There is precedent that we can have gold as the government, but you can't have gold as a pleb. So that's why you want to make sure you have your Bitcoin too.
Why are you bullish?
Well, why wouldn't you be bullish? I mean, even before all this stuff is happening, I think the people that have been around for a while have always been bullish. Like Bitcoin is just so transformational that it is hard to disregard it in any way whatsoever. And if you really understand it, I think you see the transformation potential, which is now coming to light and being more obvious to everyone else. But I guess right now there are so many factors that right now you have I think the real beginnings of nation state adoption. So while El Salvador did become the first Bitcoin country, it is still very small relative to the US and many other countries. So I think the impact was not as profound because people are kind of writing it off like, okay, a small country is doing something. But with the US really going all in with the SBR, with the talk of their version of Bitcoin bonds, the Bit bonds, and with all the nation state mining, I think, like again, I talked about earlier, the calculus has completely changed. It's just a different equation completely now. So in my view, the ETFs were a critical unlock factor, and that was removing the blockage from TradFi money flowing into Bitcoin. Pre-ETF, you always had run-ups, and the run-ups would kind of fizzle out because the exchanges would be overloaded. They couldn't KYC and onboard fast enough. But with ETFs, there is no barrier now. The portal to TradFi capital is wide open. And you already see people taking advantage of that, like entities such as central banks and pension funds that are buying either ETFs or like MicroStrategy. So the exposure to Bitcoin is just a click now. It's like in your Robinhood trading account or whatever you want. So there is no barrier to capital inflow. Now, with the SBR, you have this sort of endorsement from the most powerful country on the planet so far. And that is really big. Like Hodl was saying, all these politicians, they're getting this dossier now saying, Bitcoin is going to be put into a reserve and they're going to buy more. And there are all these things happening. So they kind of have to take action. And we talked about it earlier. The career risk is just gone now. And it's actually inverted that you have to have some sort of Bitcoin strategy or else you're putting national security at risk. And I think that is starting to play out because some of the conversations that we've been having at Jan 3 have accelerated. We've had a lot of conversations and they're kind of slow. They're waiting for this signal to say it's okay, which is kind of unfortunate when you think about it, because the countries that need Bitcoin the most to kind of catch up or get out of debt, they are probably the least willing to do something. But now I think with the US telegraphing intentions to do a lot of Bitcoin related activities and accumulation, it's changed a lot. So some timetables have been moved up. Some conversations that we're talking about doing something in 2026, they moved it up a year. I think they'll keep moving it up as things progress. But the general sentiment is there is some feeling of urgency now. And I believe the intent to acquire 3 million some odd Bitcoin from Cynthia Lummis's Bitcoin Act, coupled with the BitBond proposal, it's probably not really felt or understood yet, but it will be felt and it will be understood. But 3 million Bitcoin is something like 14, 15% of supply. If you factor in lost coins, it goes up to something like 19%. And that's just from one country. So there's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. And it's also a problem that countries don't yet understand, that there is a hard limit, because everyone's been living in fiat land for so long, where if you need money, it just materializes. If you make a mistake, you can undo your mistake by printing some more money to, patch it over. But there's this absolute limit with Bitcoin that I don't think fully registers for normal people, retail investors, and for politicians and leaders of countries. But this is all going to reconcile, and it's going to reconcile very quickly. And you have at the same time this nation state adoption starting to move forward, MicroStrategy trying to buy more. The ETFs are buying more. And I think MicroStrategy alone has taken off two times, or maybe close to 3 times the amount of supply that will be mined in all of 2025. So Omega candles are coming. I just can't see it not happening. I just don't see us hovering at 80, 90, 100. I think we'll see a very violent move to the upside, and then suddenly retail is going to be interested because now it's FOMO season, and retail seems to only really understand FOMO.
Lack of countries following suit with El Salvador over that period of time. Do you think that in the background there was pressure there for anybody that was looking at that? Because it seemed like there was interest out the gate, and then it's very clear, like and who knows whether Bukele's been pretty vocal about how they're going to continue to stack sats, but like I guess we will see how that plays out over the course of the year. But do you think that they were in the background the whole time saying, hey, like I think 94 countries have loans with the IMF? Were they basically firing a warning shot to all of them?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And we do see that. Like, we were engaged with the Central Bank of Suriname, and our proposal was just a very conservative 1% allocation. And we talked to them for months. We went there to meet with them in person. And then a week later, the World Bank went to visit, and then they just stopped talking. So you do see covert pressure being exerted. I'm not sure if you remember, but shortly after El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender, Honduras, the central bank, kind of randomly put out a notice saying, yeah, we're never going to do anything like that. And we had heard some rumblings that there were some people visiting at that time to exert pressure too. So there's a lot of this covert operations going on to suppress Bitcoin adoption in these countries that do have loans, and these organizations that exist to provide the loans engage with. So, if your job is to loan out money and keep countries in debt, then I think your incentive is to prevent them from ever getting out of debt. So the answer is yes. But if you think about what can happen in the future, let's say the IMF does realize that Bitcoin is not going away, then their incentive would be to structure future agreements that they not only extract natural resources, but extract Bitcoin. So they can stipulate that if you mine Bitcoin, all Bitcoin goes to them. And unless you default, then you kind of have to play along with that game. So it's almost like you have to default at this point before things escalate further, and you're really locking everyone up in that country forever into debt slavery. So I could see like a lot of countries just saying, yeah, we default. Like, what you gonna do? And then just reboot on a Bitcoin standard, because if they think far enough ahead, that is where it's going to go. You're going to have volcano mining to pay the IMF instead of that money going to the people. So it's almost like the ethical thing to do is to default at this point before things go on to a sound money standard. Well, I think you know my prediction. It's that we will see Omega candles, and my prediction is also we'll see 1 million in 2025. If not, then 2026. But it's coming very soon. It just has to do with all of the demand and not enough supply. And it hasn't reconciled yet. If it was going up gradually, then you can kind of visualize that the steam is being let out of the pot. It's kind of depressurizing a bit. But we're not seeing that. We're kind of hovering around at 84, accumulations at 84-ish. It doesn't seem to compute. And when things don't compute, then they reconcile very quickly. So it is that gradually, then suddenly. So maybe it's end of the year. I don't know. But it's going to reconcile, and it's going to reconcile in a very violent way.
And that's a wrap for today. What do you think about Samson Mow's bullish prediction and his take on institutional adoption, the IMF, and Bitcoin's role in shaping the future of finance? Is the Bitcoin standard truly the way forward for countries to become debt-free? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to see it, and most importantly, subscribe for your daily dose of Bitcoin and crypto trends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.